This week on Make It, we talk to internet personality, comedian, author, and actress Hannah Hart. Hannah tells us how she got started with her YouTube show, My Drunk Kitchen, and how she grew her brand. So, you know, in keeping with the spirit of YouTube personalities, today I'm joined by Hannah Hart here in the studio. Hi, Hannah. Thank you so much to have you here. And you're someone that I've wanted to talk to for a long time because despite sort of creating this personality on YouTube and kind of building your brand there, you've really conquered all media.
Conquered.
Outside of just kind of the internet as we know it today, there's all these different formats of media that you really have brought yourself into. And I was really interested to really understand like how you kind of broadened your horizons and maybe start with kind of where it all began with My Drunk Kitchen on YouTube.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first of all, thank you for saying conquered. I feel the same way.
Yes, yes.
No, I got my start in March of 2011. I made a video that was just a joke for a friend. Right. Back in March 2011, I had no idea what YouTube was. I think a lot of people didn't know that there was this kind of subculture of media on YouTube at that time. I don't think being a YouTuber was a thing. Right, it was all about viral videos.
That's right, all viral.
Everything was about viral videos.
And this was you basically slightly inebriated cooking a grilled cheese sandwich?
Yeah, no, totally inebriated.
Yes, totally inebriated.
Yeah, completely.
It was just to clarify.
So what happened was my sister had just gotten me a MacBook. With the web camera built in. And I was talking on GChat with a friend of mine, and she was like, man, I miss when we would just like get drunk and cook, man. And I was like, dude, I will get drunk and cook for you right now.
Nice.
And so I opened up Photo Booth.
Right.
And filmed myself making a mock parody cooking show, and then imported it into iMovie, cut it all together, and put it on the internet.
Put it on the internet.
Yeah, and I sent it to her.
Free.
I just sent it to her via YouTube because that's what, in my mind, the platform was for. It was for uploading videos to send to people.
Right.
And then it went viral. It had like probably a couple 100,000 views, but as someone who was not working in the entertainment industry at all, that was a lot.
That's a lot. And especially then, and especially as quickly as that happened, right? Because this was sort of unknown ground at that time. I mean, that was big. That was super, it's still big, but that was really big then.
I'm really grateful for the fact that there was no destination, there was no goal, there was no YouTube superstar, there was no, I can make a living off my channel and have that sustain me.
Were you even monetizing then at that point?
Oh man, I don't know, because I didn't have any subscribers. So in the very beginning.
That's right, you had to have a minimum of 500 or something to even be able to monetize.
What was it? I think it's like 10,000 now, but I think
it was like 500 or 1,000 back then.
Yeah, to become a YouTube partner to monetize your video and get your fraction of a penny. If that was the only thing I did, it would not be sustainable.
Right.
Hence, my answer to your question.
Conquering all media.
It's really important to diversify. The only reason I was able to eventually ever sustain myself online was because I sold t-shirts.
Right.
Yeah. The pie in the sky hope for me in 2011, 2012 was that someday I could publish a book.
Right.
Because people were buying. This was the time when people were getting books from bloggers.
Right.
So I was like, well, if I make YouTube videos, maybe someday someone will want to get a book from me. Because I studied English literature. You know, I was always a fan of like David Sedaris and like, you know, narrative essays that are comedic but heartfelt, etc. So my big dream was to publish a book like that. So it took me a couple years, and then my claim to fame that I always like to say is that I was the first YouTuber to publish a book because I asked many times.
That's right.
And took very little money. I was like, please just let me publish a book. And then they were like, oh my God, these are bestsellers.
And it was a New York Times bestseller, like 5 weeks running. I mean, amazing, amazing. Now, what's also interesting too is that in that time period, which was about 3 years or so, right, by the time the book was published, I mean, you really parlayed My Drunk Kitchen. You had celebrity chefs on there, right? I think you had Jamie Oliver, and you just, how did the exposure happen to the point where suddenly you were getting contacted by people to be a part of this series?
I got contacted by an agency, WME, and through that was set up with other people, other gigs. They were very much convinced that I was going to, quote unquote, be the next Ellen. And I always like to be like, no, I want to be the first Hannah Hart.
Right. Nice. That's nice.
You know?
Yeah.
I'm very much aware that that there are 15 minutes of fame and that there are ebbs and flows, and it's really dangerous to base your career off of what people's interests or fascination
in that moment, right? Yeah,
are.
right.
Yeah. And that doesn't seem sustainable.
Right.
But having residual forms of income, i.e., like books or movies, stuff like that, that'll always give you an idea of what your base level is going to be.
Totally. You were getting requests also at this time to take your comedy because really a thread that runs through everything that you do. There's this comedic aspect to you.
Yeah, you know.
And people wanted to see you on tour in person.
Yeah. I met a couple other YouTubers. A big part of this, if we're really going to try and make pieces of if we're going to put together pieces of a puzzle, it's create content, build community, diversify income streams, collaborate.
And hustle, right? The hustle is kind of interwoven.
And the hustle's interwoven throughout, all of life. But collaboration. So I met 2 other YouTubers, Grace Helbig, Hannah Hart, who were very experienced in the traditional comedy spaces. And meeting them was probably one of the greatest gifts I was given. Because through their friendship, I was able to understand the talent and the creative side of things.
Right.
And then they came up with the idea of let's go on comedy tours. So I got to do live performance for the first time.
Right.
It's a very steep, very public learning curve, but I've gotten more comfortable with it.
Now, part of this was also you had an Indiegogo campaign involved, right?
Yeah.
And this is an amazing story because I think you were looking for $50K to get it started, and suddenly it was $225 or something like that.
It was nuts. So the Hello Heart tour was actually, in my mind, a little bit of a goodbye tour of being an online creator. Because in my mind, I was like, well, if there's one last thing I'm going to get out of this, let's say this is the end of my 15 minutes right now. This is what I was thinking.
Right.
That this was all going to start winding down. I was like, well, I would just want to go and meet and thank all the people that made this moment in my life possible.
Right.
And so I was like, hey guys, I want to go to 10 cities. We're looking for $50K. We're going to do a volunteer day. We're going to do My Drunk Kitchen in somebody's home. And we're going to do a little funny mockumentary series. Again, I was totally ignorant to how much effort all this takes.
That's right.
And I can't believe I physically survived. Right. And we got 50,000 in the first hour. Right. And then at the end of the first day, we had 100,000. And at the end of the campaign, we had 225,000. Right. And then Google gave me another 50,000 to build an app. In what I thought was going to be my thank you so much, this is me winding down, it actually just did a slingshot around the sun effect.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Now I'm suddenly on the road for we're going to 22 cities over the course of 10 weeks. And now Grace and Mamie are like, great, we'll meet you in Boston. We'll do 3 comedy shows. And I'm like, what? Okay, guys. Right. And it was just kind of the moment in my life that I had to say yes.
I think something that makes it very palpable for people is that you were genuinely grateful and thankful.
Yeah.
And as you said, the idea of the tour, ultimately the foundation was, I really want to thank everyone who supported the journey because it's just beginning. And as someone getting into YouTube and getting into these careers, I'd love to hear your thoughts on that because I think some of this gets lost because of the glitz and glamour of what potentially
could happen,
and you don't necessarily see that at the top end.
You don't.
You don't feel that thankful gratefulness.
There's a lot of great channels on YouTube. There's a lot more to YouTube than just the YouTube star. Right. But then there's a lot of great independent content makers online still.
How do you kind of get started? How do you get into that mode of where you're talking to camera? If it's vlog, a lot of these are sort of vlog style, jump cut style, because you have to, number one, you have to be yourself, right? Or you have to be a persona that is going to be consistently that persona.
Right.
And then how do you kind of let go and just let things happen to where it's real?
So I guess the first thing I would say is getting comfortable is what's the most important part. Getting comfortable with your process. Here are things that work for me. Clapping. I clap.
Okay.
I do this a lot.
That's right.
I clap a lot. I clap really hard. I'm like, we're going. I forgive myself regularly. Right. I say it's okay. It's okay.
Do you curse a lot in between spoken bits?
Hugely
I think
profane.
That's right.
Yeah. I am just being well, I don't know. I can't really curse here. You guys can lay this over. This isn't live, is it?
Yeah, no.
Good, because live is really going to tank your channel.
That's right.
Don't go live.
Right.
It'll really hurt your views. Make a separate channel for it. If you have an aspect of what you make that is a great live version, perhaps there's a different platform for it. Not everything you make is going to be specific for one type of platform.
Not just repurposing as is. Yeah.
Not just repurposing, right. So I used to think, okay, I'll just take a YouTube video and make it square, and now it's good for Instagram.
Right.
False.
Right.
Not true.
Excellent advice, because that's actually very timely and very common. It doesn't work for a number of reasons, let alone aesthetically pleasing ones. And you really have to consider the audience and where it's going and how it should be different.
Yeah, you know, the only thing I will say is, like, you know for sure that's going to work on the scrolling platforms like Facebook and Instagram. Captions. You want to throw captions on there. Because people are watching it literally while, like, you know, while they're supposed to be doing something else.
And not necessarily with the sound on.
And absolutely without the sound.
And absolutely without it on.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right. Ultimately, anything can really be gold in the editing room, right? And this is really where you fire off those additional creative cylinders, right? Just like with that first or subsequent My Drunk Kitchen videos.
They say in film, or you know, in film, etc., something is made 3 times. It's made once when it's written, once when it's shot, and once when it's edited.
Right.
You know? And the exact same thing applies, I feel like, to if you're making online video content. You have the idea of what it is, you perform it, and it becomes something else. And then when you edit it, you might get inspired to take what you have and make it into something even more.
I think that's brilliant.
Using Adobe Premiere.
Using Adobe Premiere Pro.
Is that how it works?
Of course you can.
Okay,
Premiere
great.
Pro CC 2018, available today.
Yeah.
That's right. Well, Hannah, it was absolutely awesome to have you here today in the Make It studio. Thank you so much for providing insight, humor, and some real honesty about how you build a brand and how you build this kind of...
How you make it.
How you make... We didn't even have to pay for that. Now, where can people find out more and watch more and learn more about you, Hannah Hart?
I am available anywhere on the internet at Harto, H-A-R-T-O, youtube.com/Harto, Twitter, Instagram, etc., and Facebook, which I haven't yet cracked. So if you guys have any feedback, please like my Facebook page.
They say it's picking up.
They do, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
They do.